my name's Michelle with the Book Dragon, and today we've got author Ennes Higgins with us to talk about her book, Dragons in the Barn, which is on tour this week at the Book Dragon. Hi, Ennes.
Hello, good morning to you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So I'm going to ask
Thank
you
you
some
very much.
questions, which our viewers would love to know the answer to. So the first one I'm going to ask you is, when did you discover your love for writing?
Oh, geez, I've been writing for a very long time. I really enjoyed writing back in school, but it has taken me an awful long time to channel it into a book. So there's lots of half-written books hidden in my drawers. I don't know if I'll ever get round to revisiting them, but it has been an awful long time before one of my pieces actually made it into a proper book.
But you got there in the end.
I did, and I can encourage everybody who's thinking about this to just plow ahead and tackle it one step at a time.
That sounds like good advice to me. So, Dragons in the Barn features the lovely character of Lola. Is she based on anyone you know? And if not, how did you get the idea for creating her?
She is actually based on one of my children. All four of the siblings, so Lola and her three siblings, are based on my own children, ever so loosely. Um, because as the story developed, they kind of became real and they developed their own little character traits which were needed to sort of pull the story together, which are then in the end slightly different from my own children. But yeah, so particularly Lola is based on my daughter Lucia, she's now 11. She was about 8 when I started writing the stories.
Oh, that's so lovely. So, Dragons in the Barn encourages children to set aside electronic devices and focus on developing their creative skills. Why is it important to you to get this message across to readers?
It is a constant struggle in our house, and I'm convinced it's an equal struggle in everybody else's house. They are obsessed with their electronics. They are on their phones, on their tablets, on their laptops. And in their defense, they need their electronics. So my children take their laptops to school and they're required to have them with them and they work on them. They sometimes play little games on their phone, so they play Kahoots and whatnot. So I can't just say you're not having it, because that would impact on their learning. I do put restrictions in place, as I'm sure every other parent is doing or trying to do with screen times and permissions and all that. But nevertheless, it is a constant struggle to get them to put their electronics away, particularly to ask them to do it voluntarily rather than forced, and engage in anything else, come for a bike ride or play a board game or help me in the garden or just sit and chat. So all of the books are intended to portray that struggle and to also show what amazing things can happen when you do put them aside. So in Dragons in the Barn, the children are tasked to tidy up, as you can imagine, a barn. They obviously don't want to do this because they would much rather sit and play on their tablets and their phones. And what an amazing story unfolds, and what a great adventure. So, this is my way of showing there's a whole world out there. And sometimes, as parents, we just need to force that just a little.
Thank you for explaining that. So obviously dragons are featured in the book, and at the Book Dragon we approve of this. Are you a particular fan of these mythical creatures?
Um, I am actually, and particularly dragons. So I'm in the process of starting a second series. So Lola will obviously continue with her adventures. And funnily enough, the first book is again about dragons. And it,
Oh.
it, it wasn't planned that way, but somehow it had to be dragons. So this new series is about a little boy who thinks he's been followed by a bunch of dragons. But every time he looks around, they're nowhere to be seen. Where are they?
Oh, that sounds exciting. I look forward to that one. So
Yep,
you're
that's hopefully coming out around summertime.
oh, brilliant. And you've got another
Yeah,
new book featuring Lola, which is Fairies in
I
the
do.
Garden. Yeah. So without giving away too many spots, yeah, there it is there on the screen. So without giving away too many spoilers, can you let our viewers know what to expect from this?
Absolutely. Yet again, the children are being dragged away from their electronics. So spot the theme here. They are being asked to harvest some beans for dinner. So they're in the garden and they really don't want to be there. And it's, the most annoying thing in the world. And then they meet a tooth fairy. So the tooth fairy is a boy and he needs to collect a tooth in order to pass his tooth fairy exams. But because he didn't pay attention in tooth fairy school, he really doesn't know how to do it. So they need to come up with a way to help him find his first tooth. Um, I think the most amazing part about it is they shrink down to his size. You need to read the book to find out how that happens. Um, so they are in this garden and everything is huge. The apples are huge and the carrots are huge and the ants are really big. So yeah, so tune into Fairies in the Garden if you want to know how the tooth fairy manages to find his first tooth.
It sounds like another exciting adventure. Uh, so you can pick up signed copies of Ennis's books, both Dragons in the Barn and Fairies in the Garden, during her virtual book signing tomorrow, which takes place between 2 and 4 p.m. at our shop on 6 West Road, Stockton-on-Tees, and also on our website at www.bookdragon.co.uk. Thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed today, Ennis. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me.